What is up? Welcome back, crypto enthusiasts. We are streaming live on X and on YouTube, so thanks for coming back to the stream. Today is going to be a juicy one for sure. Because as you guys know, usually I start off talking about Wise Lending, which is my DeFi lending platform, our community lending platform that we have. And that's usually the way I start off the stream. But today, we're actually going to look at a spicy post from Vitalik Buterin, who is the founder of Ethereum, who is seemingly taking a dump on lending platforms like ours and questioning them. And so this is actually, generated, as you can see, 1 million views here so far. This was August 25, so just 2 days ago, 1 million views already. And let's actually look into this conversation. Now, we don't need to see the full conversation, but this post right here kind of sums it up. And like gives you the context. So let me close out my notifications here. Okay, so it says, Vitalik, I think one of the reasons people have confusion or frustration about your views on DeFi is due to a miscommunication. So this guy is trying to clear the air here because it seems like previously, it seems like Vitalik has got a problem with DeFi. And it's like, okay, why should the founder of Ethereum have a problem with DeFi? Isn't this what Ethereum is supposed to be about in the first place? Decentralization, decentralized finance. And so this guy says, it seems like in your view, DeFi means the 2021 farming craze Ponzi schemes. But to a lot of other people, I would say the majority, DeFi means lending, borrowing on money markets such as Aave, CDP, like Rye, synthetics, etc. Those are all healthy applications of decentralized finance. The yield comes from borrowers, trading fees, etc. And perhaps why people are confused that why Vitalik would be seemingly against DeFi, but for gambling prediction markets like Polymarket and centralized stablecoins like USDC. So it seems like we've missed the first part of this conversation, right? Because it seems like Vitalik has said some things that, he doesn't like DeFi, but then on the other side of things, he seems to be for Polymarket prediction, companies, which is basically gambling. And so, he's actually trying to clear the air here with Vitalik and being like, I think I know what you might mean. When you refer to DeFi, you are referring to DeFi as like the Ponzi ones back in 2020. But most people actually think, Vitalik, that DeFi is like Aave, for instance, actual legitimate sustainable platforms. So he's trying to clarify that. But, and this is the post that generated all that controversy, Vitalik comes back, and as it turns out, no, that's not what he meant at all. He really is kind of questioning not just Ponzi DeFi, but all of decentralized finance. He says the yield comes from borrowers, trading fees, etc. So he says, right, so this worries me because it feels like an Ouroboros. The value of crypto tokens is that you can use them to earn yield, which is paid for by people trading crypto tokens. Even if the answer is something clear, example, people getting 8% APR on USD that are paid by people paying 8% APR to leverage ETH at 2x, it still means that the ongoing existence of the DeFi market is downstream of the existence of the ETH market, which means that DeFi may be great. It's fundamentally capped and can't be the thing that brings crypto to the next 10 to 100x adoption burst. So first of all, let me say that I've been a fan of Vitalik from the very beginning. He started building Ethereum when he was 19 years old. And also, I will say that he obviously has a very high IQ. Like just read some of his other, long form posts, and it's very easy to understand that, things are going to be over your head most likely. At the very least, you're going to need to do some research just to even understand what he's talking about. So he is definitely on another level as far as IQ, and definitely smart enough to be one of the main figures that made Ethereum happen. And I also like his roadmap for Ethereum as well. But lately, something seemed a little off, and the community has been saying Vitalik's out of touch, and I am scratching my head at this point, especially about a post like this. So there was something that happened about a month ago where Vitalik it was posted a picture where he was like wearing a mask on a plane because of CO2 levels, and then you know, in one of his replies, he was bragging about the fact that he was triple immunized for, you know, for the Rona. He's like, I'm a triple dual wielding Moderna vaccine user. And so that caused a lot of controversy, but I kind of like, you know, raised my eyebrow at that last month. I was like, okay, well, but you know, that's kind of more of like a personal view. Like I'm not going to knock Vitalik for you know, his personal views on the Rona, or, you know, wearing a mask on a plane. That's, you know, that's his prerogative. But it was a little bit of a head scratcher. And then now with this post, I'm like, wow, I actually now think that Vitalik might be out of touch. And, you know, this can happen sometimes where you are super smart, but you're kind of living in your own bubble. And I think this might be something that has happened to Vitalik, and I'll explain why. So I disagree with both parts of this post, and here's why. So the first part, where it says that basically Vitalik is saying, okay, platforms like Aave, like Wise Lending, they're not real yield because why? Because the yield that you're earning is being made by the same tokens. Like his logic here is that the value of crypto tokens is that you can use them to earn yield, which is being paid for by other crypto tokens. So this is the major thing that I have a problem here, because like this is a little bit of a wild take, because this is not how money works. Like first of all, when you think about cryptocurrency and you're thinking about, you know, Ethereum, but especially like the stable coins, this is money we're talking about. And to say that the value of the tokens is not valid because, and it's circular because the yield is being paid for in tokens, that seems a little ridiculous. Like that, let's apply that to just fiat currency, right? This is the same statement as saying banks actually don't have any real yield because banks lend out fiat money, and then, you know, borrowers, you know, borrow that fiat money, and then they pay interest, but they pay back that interest in fiat money too. So it's all circular and there's no real yield happening. So that's ridiculous. That's a ridiculous statement. Like the point here isn't that, you know, you're paying tokens and you're being paid back in tokens. That's perfectly fine. That's like, tokens are money. Like the service here, where the yield is coming from, is that there's a financial instrument, the financial instrument of loans, for instance. So when you as a borrower decide to borrow, whether it's from a bank and you're just getting a home equity loan on your house, or you come to DeFi and you get a collateralized loan on Aave or on Wise Lending, it's the same thing. But like, it doesn't matter that you're generating yield with the same type of asset that you are borrowing. That's completely fine. The point is that you are using a financial instrument of a loan, for instance. There's also financial instruments of leverage, which, you know, people use on exchanges in order to leverage their positions. That's another financial instrument. There's also the financial instrument of a savings account, where you allow your money to be lent out, and, you know, it gets paid back with interest. So these are legitimate financial instruments that are being used not just in crypto, but by all of the financial markets. Like this is how banks work. They lend out their money, they charge interest on that money, and they get that money back. Oh, and by the way, they lend out US dollars, they're getting back US dollars plus interest in US dollars. That doesn't make it a Ponzi. Now, there's other reasons why you might think banks are a Ponzi, because, you know, they over leverage themselves, and, you know, they lend money out, but then those same people that they're lending to will deposit in another bank in the same system, and then they'll lend it out again. So, you know, the money in the banks can be actually stretched super thin, and it might even be lent out like, you know, 10 additional times, which is something that actually cannot happen in DeFi. So DeFi is actually more legitimate than the banks because on Aave or on Wise Lending and in these true DeFi smart contracts, you can't have bad, you know, you can't have these bad loans like banks do, where, you know, that caused the housing crisis and the financial crash in 2008 because there was these, you know, bundles of bad mortgages. You can do that with banks. You can't do that with DeFi. Why? Because everything is over collateralized on lending platforms. In order to borrow from Wise Lending, you have to deposit on Wise Lending first. You can use our leverage instruments. You know, you can do a power farm, but your collateral is you know, locked in that position, and you either have to pay it back by closing the position or the position gets liquidated. So so everything is backed up at least 1-to-1, and in most cases over collateralized when we're talking about loans in DeFi. So it's even more legitimate. The yield is even better, even more sustainable than it is in traditional banking. So this is something I really wish Vitalik would understand, because this is so important. This is what brought me into DeFi in the first place in 2017. It's because I realized that, you know, smart contracts can take the place of complex financial institutions, and they can not only take the place of them, but they can be better versions of them. So the fact that we can transact money on DeFi, the fact that we can earn high yield in DeFi, and that we can have these financial instruments that are not centralized, where the banks can't, you know, take your money, put a hold on your money, stop your money. Everything is just on chain. You control your own money. You get to, you know, do whatever you want, and you can use all these financial instruments. I think that's something that's really powerful and really wonderful. Now, the second part of what he's saying here is that, okay, well, DeFi is downstream of ETH, basically saying that, you know, so the market cap of DeFi is never going to be bigger than the market cap of ETH. And that's true, but I think what he isn't understanding here is that there's nothing keeping Ethereum from growing as DeFi grows as well. So DeFi can absolutely 10x or 100x from this point, and that will just mean that ETH is more valuable too, because as more liquidity comes onto Ethereum and comes into DeFi platforms, that's just going to mean you know, ETH as an asset is more valuable. So there's nothing wrong with ETH becoming a more valuable asset. And there's nothing stopping ETH from becoming the most valuable asset in the whole world. Like, there's nothing stopping ETH from becoming $1 trillion market cap, you know, $100 trillion market cap. And I think, you know, it will continue to grow. And there's no reason to be like, oh, well, DeFi is downstream of ETH. Yeah, that's fine. Well, they can both grow. Like, it can grow together, and there's nothing stopping it from growing. So I think this is just fine as well. So that's from Vitalik Buterin. Pretty crazy. I really hope that you know, everything is okay with him, and that he kind of gets out of his bubble, because these are really basic financial concepts here, like not understanding that a DeFi platform like Aave or like Wise Lending is actually creating real sustainable yield, because it's offering financial services to people who either want to earn on their crypto or they want to you know, borrow crypto as well. Like, this is it's pretty simple stuff, and to not understand where the yield is coming from, that is a little ridiculous. So let me check in with the chat here. We got on YouTube, Regdor Trnarg says, fractional reserve banking, absolutely true. That's exactly what they do. Well, there's no fractional reserves in DeFi. In DeFi, it's all over collateralized. You can see here, everything is there in the contract. You know, we got 89.44 ETH deposited in our Wise Lending smart contract. Of that, about a little over half of it is borrowed, and you have accountability for all the funds right here. The stuff that's borrowed, has to be over collateralized too. And if it ever became close to being under collateralized, then the Chainlink oracles would liquidate that position and convert it back so that there would be 89.44 ETH back in the pool once again. So that is the way that works. So Raymond says, "Hey Peter, interesting take from Vitalik." Yeah, super head scratcher in my opinion. So I hope we don't get any more of this from Vitalik. Certainly, you know, the Solana community has like taken this and run with it, along with, you know, last month's antics from Vitalik. And so you know, it's not a good look for Ethereum as a community. And right now, like, the ball's in Solana's court, basically, which is kind of ridiculous considering like Ethereum is so much bigger, so much more decentralized, has so much more going for it. And yet, if you talk to anybody right now, pretty much 9 people out of 10, if not 10 people out of 10, are going to tell you, you know, Solana's the better asset to hold right now. Solana's going to pump, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know. I just like, this needs to stop. Like we really don't want to see any more of this. Anyways, let's change it over to the market. So I was telling you guys yesterday how I expected a pullback, and that's when Ethereum, or excuse me, Bitcoin was, you know, $64,000. It had just barely started doing the pullback. And I told you, I've been telling you guys about vector candles and how vector candles usually get recovered. But I didn't know if it was going to recover 50% of the vector candle or the full vector candle. Right now, it's recovered about 75% of this green vector candle. And you can see it looks like it might be finding support on the 50 EMA on the daily charts. So that's good. And what I would expect, like, I'm watching this very closely, and I am in a long position right now. I got in a long position as it hit the 50 EMA. And I also have more orders down below in case it recovers the full vector candle. But I don't want it to. Like, I think it would show a lot more strength if it didn't close below this purple cloud. Right now we have 2 hours and 42 minutes left on this daily candle. I don't want to see today or tomorrow close below this purple cloud, honestly. I want to see it bouncing off. And that would be a really good indication that we're gonna at least retest the highs of 65, or, you know, hopefully go up to, you know, 66, 67, 68, which would indicate that, you know, this is indeed a true reversal. Now, of course, this whole bullish sentiment doesn't really become invalidated unless we were to close like below 56,000. And even it could, you know, pull down into you know, 50, like the 51,000 area and still bounce. That's still possible. But if we lose this 50 EMA, and especially if we lose this 100 EMA, you know, if we go down to 59K and start closing candles at 59K and below, then that's not like I'm going to become really concerned at that point. I already would have, you know, taken the stop loss on my position by the time that happened. So I am expecting a bounce here, and if it doesn't happen, then I'm going to change up my my idea of what's going to happen in the market really quick. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the market. So any other questions before we go here? We haven't had as many questions today as before. That's perfectly fine. We had a nice powwow about Vitalik, and I gave you my market sentiment. I'm going to wrap it up here for today. So have a happy Tuesday, everyone. Thank you so much for coming out. We do this every single weekday, so Monday through Friday with the live streams. Thanks for coming out. Don't forget to ask your questions. And even if you're not live, feel free to leave a comment on the YouTube video. I'll be happy to answer it in the next day's stream. So thank you guys. Be out till next.